Hey everybody, it's Heather here from Fasco Health, and I'm coming to you live for the very first time, and we're actually in San Diego. So this was a challenge sent out to me, and so here I am. The topic today, because people ask me all the time, what led me to Fasco Health? What led Pat and I to develop Fasco Health and do what we're doing with the program? And so I've thought a lot about that, and over the years, and it really, I think, the very first thing that brought me on the journey of where we are today has to do with my mom. And so let's take a step back. God bless her; she passed away a few years ago. But I grew up. She did absolutely everything for my brother and I. We always knew that we were loved. She lived for her kids, and then we grew up, and we moved away. And what did we see? We saw her kind of start to shrivel. She ended up with chronic pain. She went into a depression, was on antidepressants. She ended up having to quit her job early, take an early retirement. She was a registered nurse and had to step away from that. She, even growing up, she never had what we call a circle of friends that she would hang out with. We never had people over to the house. She kind of stayed to herself, but she was like this super lovely person, and if you forced her into social situations, she would do fantastic, but she would never ever seek those things out herself. And so my brother and I, as I said, we grew up, we moved away, we went to school, we got our own careers, and progressively she just got more obese, and the depression got worse. She was on, a higher dose of antidepressants or multiples. She had an irritable bowel. She was not a healthy person. My dad was 18 years older than her, but you probably would have guessed that she was actually older than he was. And it was sad to see her that way. She was such a lovely person, had so much to give, and she did. She gave so much to her family, but she never ever gave anything to herself, and that unfortunately led to a lot of things in her life. She, at a young age, what I would consider a young age, probably around 70, we had to move her out of her house. She had to leave my dad in the house. He was in his 80s, and we moved her to a lodge. And that seemed to work well for a while until she started losing her memory. She developed dementia, and we had to move her into a long-term care where she was for a couple years, and then the whole process of dementia actually took her life. That same year that she passed away, within months, Pat and I got convinced to go to this intensive personal development program that our staff had been bugging us to go to, and Pat ended up going finally, like the week after my mom's funeral, and I ended up going a couple months later, and it was so hugely eye-opening and transformative for us. What we learned there about how we walk through life, how everybody walks through life. It's the things we discovered about ourselves really put my mom's life into a different light for me. It hurt me to see her not help herself, and I couldn't understand how such a lovely person couldn't love herself. And what I learned there was about these negative thoughts that absolutely everybody has. I mean, from the very first time that we start having experiences, our subconscious makes decisions about those experiences, right? An event is only an event until we attach meaning to it. And we attach meaning to absolutely everything that happens to us. And some of those meanings become beliefs that are good and they're helpful, like don't touch that hot stove. Other things are not helpful, and they become beliefs about ourselves or others or situations. Things like I don't matter, things like I can't do it, like I'm stupid, like I'm fat, like I'm not enough, like I'm not important. And those things hold us back from what we want most in life, and they lead us to playing these, what we call, like playing these games in our lives, where we end up, getting triggered by something, not realizing it. Our subconscious is like, oh hey, we've felt that before, and that doesn't feel safe, and so to protect myself, I'm going to go into fight or flight, right? I'm going to like blame somebody, or I'm going to start a fight, or I'm going to hide, or I'm going to just shut down. And at the end of it, we always feel awful, and we're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that again. I'm here again. That is totally not what I wanted to do. And at this program, we learned that, and I'm like, oh my God, if we, like, that's what happened to my mom. Because when we have these thoughts about ourselves, these beliefs that we're not good enough, and we're not worthy, and we don't matter, and all of those awful things, they lead us not only to less of what we want in life, but they actually manifest as disease. Like they make our body feel not safe, so that it packs on extra pounds. It causes irritation in our bowels. It can cause cancers. It manifests in so many ways, in chronic pain, in chronic fatigue, in depression. All of those things can stem from those roots of poor beliefs about ourselves that are just a bunch of junk. But we don't know how to turn them off, because the little boy and little girl in ourselves really believes that those things are true. Our adult brains are like, oh yeah, this happened to me as a kid, and other kids are just mean, or they didn't mean anything by it, or like we rationalize it, or we're like, oh yeah, that awful thing happened to me, but I've dealt with it. And so many of us haven't, because we don't have the tools to do that. And I thought, oh my God, if my mom had had these tools, her life would have been so different. And I wish that I had had these tools earlier, so that I could have shared them with her, and had her life experience be different. So I didn't have that, but now I had the tools for myself, and I used them since that day. Like it's been over 5 years now. I use those tools, and once Pat and I discovered that, we got our kids into the teen program so that they could learn the tools, and we use the tools as a family, and we share them with our friends and anybody that we can. And we found ourselves still struggling to find ways to share it with more people. We both worked full time in our jobs as pharmacists, and saw so many people that we would fill their prescriptions, and we'd counsel them on the medications, and certain life things, but it really didn't open us up to really sharing those tools with them like we wanted to. And I just think that everybody needs access to that information. Every one of us has these negative thoughts, these programs, these awful beliefs about ourselves that go off all the time in the back of our heads, and they don't do us any good. We need to spread the awareness of those, and spread the tools of how to shut them off, how to disconnect them, how to move forward, and not have them lead us in these places where we're left going, oh, that so wasn't what I want. So Pat and I, we decided that we couldn't just pass out medications and counsel on the medications and do, what we could from behind the counter, or me in the hospital. Like we needed to step away from that. And that's why we developed Fasco Health, is that we want these tools to be accessible to everybody. Every single person can find a benefit from learning about this negative talk that goes on in all of our lives, and really see what it's done for us or held us back from, and without it, how far we can go and what we can achieve. And so that's what we've done with Fasco Health. That's a little bit of my background and my origin story. That's why we're on this journey that we're on. Is, you know, we've been practicing this stuff for over 5 years, and we still have bad days every once in a while, but we just really want to form a community of people, a world, really. Like, we want this to go everywhere, because everybody deserves to know that they are worth it, and that they are worth love, and that they are enough, and that they do matter, and that they are important, and they are making a difference. And I really want people to be able to have those tools. And so that's why we're doing what we're doing. And you know, I didn't do this as a sales pitch. I just did this to share a bit about why we are where we are. But if you want more information, reach out to us. Fasco Health is us on Facebook and Instagram, and fascoinfo@gmail.com is our email address. And tag on this post. Find us. We are starting new programming at the beginning of April, and it's in person in Rimbey, but it's online for anywhere in the world that you are. We want to make it work for you, and we want to share this information with you because you deserve it. Thanks, guys.